those landscape grasses. They're going to have to cut their stuff down. Give me a bunch of cards so I can leave your card where they're doing it. So y'all, my credo is this: reclamation through installation, propagation, then inoculation. So get those genetics right, grow those seeds, grow those plants yourself, or better yet, don't put them in a pot and grow them, put them in the ground. The best plant starts from a seed planted directly in the ground. Anything in between them and the ground is not what Mother Nature designed. So a lot of times that's not practical, but when at all practical, put that seed directly in the ground. You're going to get a better plant and better results every single time. So you're not going to find, like I said, this diversity at most nurseries. You'll find the bricks there, but what's holding all these systems together is the mortar. I mean, it's all really bricks and mortar. They're all critical. Like Pope said, whatever link from nature's chain you strike, 10th or 10,000 to break the chain of life. So there isn't anything that's insignificant. But what I'm calling the mortar, those little guys, and we're going to see some of them when I get to the picture slides, is the flowers, about what you probably won't find in nurseries that you're going to have to go hunt down yourself. So create systems as closely as it's practical. But one native is better than that. So in other words, if you can't create a whole system in your yard, just get native plants in there is going to be important. But y'all, these systems, let me talk about that. Through evolution, these plants have co-evolved with each other, and they've figured out how to behave around each other. So you don't get one typically dominating another one. So if you could go to a virgin, like where I live, I'm on the Blackman Prairie, what used to be. If I could find a site that was virgin, I could go back and look at it. That site has basically stabilized itself. Over time, it's figured out, what's going to make it here and what isn't. So as much as you can, try to create systems in your landscapes. Whatever habitat type your house now sits on, try to replicate that. Does that make sense? Because you know what? Like I use Greg's Mistflower. It's not from the Blackman Prairie, but it's well behaved in my backyard. But I've got people who, for example, want that plant. It tends to run. It'll run over the top of things. They're like, well, it's native. Why is it doing that? I said, well, because it's more aggressive than the plant it's planted next to. If you replicate systems, you won't have those or as many of those kinds of issues. Does that make sense too? I want y'all to try to put those systems back in place. Well, this happens to be, this is in my front yard, this is a gar. This shows you the diversity that you can get. So here's these beetles come out of these eggs. Here's these assassin bugs. There's one actually on the other side. You can see the nectar, and they're coming over. I want that interaction between these insects. I've got to have that. So you put native plants in, you're going to start having this kind of stuff. These guys, get rid of all your chemicals. You don't need them when you get these beneficials coming in. So y'all really, little things really do mean a lot. The angels, y'all, it's angels, not the devils are the details. So y'all don't forget your native grasses and sedges. I say, I'm going to get all the flowery stuff. Yeah, but you got to have all the components. Native grasses and sedges, shrubs, trees, all of it, but we'll talk about pollinators, and those plants do serve some, but for example, I don't know anything that's nectaring on grasses, but there are plenty of little skipper butterflies that host on our native grasses, so it's some cycle in their life, they need these plants. Plus, like Carrie said earlier, in wintertime, this is structure for those insects, for little birds. They got to have some place to get out of this weather. I mean, we're under a roof, but where do they go? If you cut your native grasses back, they don't like that anyway. All that foliage up here protects the crown of the plant, so I'm like her, I don't ever really touch my yard. And because I'm educated by Code Guy, he doesn't come around anymore. So see what I say there? Leave your grass and stuff alone until they push off. If you're going to have to mess with them, wait till you see them pushing off with new growth in the spring. They often represent persistent food and cover. A lot of these inflorescence on these grasses, some of them go out there right now still collect seed off Indian grass. I mean, not all of it's gone. So that's like a pantry for some of these critters. They don't go to Whole Foods. Y'all, here's another thing we don't think about very often. Especially if you vegetable garden through the winter, think about this. Bolting winter vegetables bring the nectar pollen love into your garden. Chaotic philosophy is best. You shouldn't just start, my arugula is bolting, I'm going to pull it out. Heck no, I think this is actually on radish. But here's a syrupy fly. Probably get some pollen off that flower right there. Now, if you yanked all that out of your ground, this is a very beneficial insect. I'll show you how it's going to wear out some aphids here in just a minute. But this These represent, right now, some of our earliest spring blooming flowers, our bolting winter vegetables. Plus, get the seed for next year. Don't keep buying this stuff. Get the seed. Y'all, when it comes to aphids, especially if you're going to have milkweed on your property, that's one way I positively identify milkweed. If it doesn't have aphids, it can't be milkweed. They get them a lot. But y'all, aphids are good. They're the entomological rabbits of the insect world. It's everything insect. Y'all, because I enjoy watching beneficial insects eat them or peep inside them and then emerge and kill more aphids. That's the fun for me. And y'all, the beneficials, those species that nectar or pollen, that means they either need nectar or pollen as their food source. They love umbelliform flowers. The umbels, though, they love them. So get those in your landscape. And y'all, size does matter here. They're typically little bitty guys, so diversity size. Somebody said, hey, Michael, you were pretty more just diversity inside. You create new